be discussing volcanoes and the effects and responses to these natural hazards. So, for our exam, we want to be clued up on the effects that volcanoes can have. It's important to know that there are primary effects and there are secondary effects. Let's first look at some of the primary effects. So, buildings and roads can be destroyed by lava flows and pyroclastic flows. Buildings could also collapse if enough ash and debris falls on them. Lava flows, pyroclastic flows, and falling rocks can also seriously injure or kill people and animals. Crops can also be damaged, and water supplies can be contaminated by ash. This can seriously affect farming and food production. Volcanic gases can also suffocate people, animals, and plants. Sounds pretty scary, right? Once the dust has settled, excuse the pun, the secondary effects are made evident. Mud flows, which are also known as lahars, form when volcanic material mixes with water. This water can come from either heavy rainfall or snowmelt. These mud flows and landslides can cause even more damage, injury, and death after the initial effects have already occurred. Flooding is also a common secondary effect after a volcanic eruption. The hot rock which has now been formed can melt surrounding ice and snow on the volcano. Flooding can also be made worse by rock and ash clogging up the rivers and dams. Another common secondary effect is the disruption of transport. These networks can be blocked or even destroyed, so it makes it harder for emergency services to go and aid people. This disruption also affects trade, making it very difficult. Other secondary effects include people being left homeless, businesses being destroyed, leading to unemployment and loss of income, and tourism being disrupted. There can, however, be a few positive secondary effects. Once the initial hit to tourism takes place, this can then largely increase, as people are often interested in visiting volcanoes. Another positive effect can be the fertility of the fields. The ash that falls on them can eventually make the soil more fertile once it has broken down. So, after taking a look at some of the primary and secondary effects, it is clear to understand why recovering after an eruption can take a very long time. It can cost a huge amount of money, which consequently weakens a country's economy. As well as effects, there are of course responses that communities undergo immediately as well as long term. Let's first look at the immediate responses that occur. So, after taking a look at some of the primary and secondary effects, it is clear to understand why recovering after an eruption can take a very long time. It can cost a huge amount of money, which consequently weakens a country's economy. As well as effects, there are of course responses that communities undergo immediately as well as long term. Let's first look at the immediate responses that occur. Firstly, if a volcanic eruption is predicted and it is thought to happen anytime soon, people are evacuated from nearby and surrounding areas in an attempt to reduce the risk of injury or even death. If the eruption has not been predicted and it goes off without warning, communities will evacuate as soon as possible after it begins. Another immediate response will be to support the evacuated people. Communities provide food, water, and shelter for those who have had to vacate. If people are hurt or injured, for example from falling debris or ash inhalation, victims are treated and taken care of. Another immediate response would be to rescue those who have been cut off by the damaged roads or bridges. It's important to make sure that people can be reached and are not isolated. Providing temporary supplies of electricity, gas, and communication systems is also an immediate response. These are key to have if regular supplies have been damaged during an eruption. As well as this, Foreign governments or charities may also offer a helping hand by sending in aid workers, supplies, equipment, or financial donations in order to help the affected areas. Finally, an immediate response can often come from tech companies who may set up disaster response tools, allowing damage to be recorded and for people to confirm that they are safe so that loved ones can be made aware. An example of this is the Google Crisis Response Service. So, as well as these immediate responses, there are also long-term responses that are put into action once the volcano has died down and people have had time to try and settle back into normality. Because many people's homes may have been damaged or even completely destroyed, the process of repairing and rebuilding may occur. People may even choose to resettle in a different location. Secondly, the infrastructure must be repaired and reconnected. Roads, railways, power lines and communication networks may have all been affected, and this is something that is important to restore. Another long-term response may be to improve and update the monitoring of potential future natural hazards and to make sure that better evacuation plans are made and practiced. Finally, the affected country may try to boost the economy by attracting tourists to come and visit the volcano and to see the effects that it has had. So, to recap, when a volcanic eruption occurs, there are primary effects and then there are secondary effects. As well as this, there are immediate responses and there are long-term responses. Make sure for your exam that you have clear examples of each 4 of these categories. A natural hazard, such as a volcano, takes a lot of time to recover from, and communities can be left broken for a long time after. Thank you for watching.